Welcome, everyone. This is the updated June version of Camp Pinebrook's Parent and Family Update. There's been a lot of information, both from CDC and from New York State, about different guidelines and protocols related to safety, especially COVID safety for the summer. And at times it's contradicted itself, and it's been a little bit challenging. And because it's challenging, I wanted to make sure that we are all on the same page of what's going on. And so I use the same template as our last presentation, but have updated it. And when I update it, I've also made bold, underline annotations so that you can see how things are changing. If your microphone is on, we ask that you please mute. So now I'm going to share my presentation to help us. Great. So welcome, everyone. Joe, please unmute for a second. Can you see this well?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So there are some change policies since we spoke in last, but most importantly, what I want to say is, even though we're all very, very excited about having camp this summer, and we want our children to have the best experience possible, we do need to remind ourselves that COVID-19 is still real, and that there's a lot our families are facing, our campers are facing, and as a staff in a camp that we are facing, that makes this summer still different than other summers. And I want to ask everybody to be my partner in giving our kids the best summer possible. There's no perfect answer. The policies we have decided have been based on the Westchester Department of Health. And then there's a COVID task force at Temple Israel of New Rochelle, and we've worked together to do what's best practices. So as a reminder, there are risks in sending kids to camp. That what we are trying to do is mitigate or lower the risks. We can't completely eliminate the risks. Every decision each family makes impacts one another. Therefore, we're asking you to look at this as a sacred partnership, that it's not just about the decisions you make, but it's how our lives impact and interweave with one another. Especially that we do have campers who have immunocompromised issues and medical conditions, as well as family members that do. And this year we also have families who have newborn babies. And so there's a lot of concerns, and there's still a lot of science that isn't completely known. And so at times we might be more cautious than what a specific family might choose for themselves. But overall, we're trying to do what's best for the camp and all of our campers. So this year, our bunks are now going to be limited to 18. Originally, about a couple months ago, the Department of Health said it was a 15 camper maximum. The state allows for up to 36 campers in a cohort. We are limiting it to 18 campers in a cohort. As a result, with these numbers, our pre-K groups will have 3 counselors. One of those counselors will be a lead counselor, which will be somebody who's been at camp for multiple summers, or is 21 and over, or is an educator by training. And then for our elementary age groups, we will have at least 2 counselors. Our hope is that as we continue to hire staff, we can add to those numbers. But as many businesses and especially camps have seen, is that the pool of applicants is limited this year for many reasons, but we aren't lowering our quality of staff. We expect really high quality invested staff that will give your children an amazing summer. So that is why the numbers now is 3 for pre-K, which when we thought before when there wasn't the vaccines readily available, or we couldn't move staff around, we were going to have 4. But now that we can, with vaccinated staff, we can move people around. We can use counselors in multiple ways. We do not need the redundancy in staff. Each class will continue to have its own outside area and inside classroom. The inside classroom will be used for changing and on inclement weather. We are trying to be outside as much as possible. All of our groups are based on age and are co-ed. The new policy that came out, and there's been multiple interpretations of this, what we have decided is that we will have a camp-wide policy that all members of our camp community will need to wear a face mask when inside a building. So outside, campers and staff will not need to wear face masks, but inside, regardless of age, regardless of vaccination status, the entire community will wear masks when inside. And when inside, all of our areas will have proper air ventilation, filtered systems, if there's air conditioning, so that we have fresh air for our community. And as I said earlier, all of our programs are trying to be outside. We've bought a significant amount of awnings and tents so that there's adequate sun shade from the sun for our families, and that we are aware of trying to make sure our campers don't get overheated, as it can be very hot outside at times. So in general, the protocols is campers and staff are required to mask while inside. There has been a statement by the Westchester Department of Health that swimming trumps or is more of a concern than COVID-19, and that instructional swim is very important. So we are allowed to do traditional instructional lessons where the instructors can physically interact with the campers in their group without masking and without social distancing. We also are aware that because there can be up to 36 campers in a pod, on days that are incredibly hot, where we worry about campers overheating, we will put 2 pods in the same pool, but it will always be the same 2 pods, to therefore always fall under the guidelines of the state and Westchester Department of Health. But these are only on days when it's like 3 or 4 days in a row in the 90s, or it's like 98, 99, maybe 100-degree weather. We know that keeping campers in the pool as much as possible on those days, in addition to water sports and different things of that nature to keep the campers cool, that being in the pool is really important on those very, very hot days. And as always, as we talked about before, we will have a staggered schedule. There's 3 different drop-off times, 3 different pickup times, 3 different lunch periods. Each group's on its own schedule, so transitions happen at different times. No groups can share bathrooms. Hallways will be all one-way directions, and everything will be cleaned. Bathrooms will be cleaned multiple times per day. At night, there's the isostatic cleaning machines that will spray down all indoor spaces. Every supply used will be cleaned between groups using them. And within the activities, campers will not share supplies. They will have their own. And most importantly, hand washing. What has shown in general is proper hand hygiene, sneezing hygiene, wearing masks. These help not just with COVID, but we've seen they've reduced the transmission of all communicable diseases in our community, so that the health and safety will continue to be the focus, because that keeps all of us safe by washing our hands and sanitizing between every activity. Again, the program looks to be between 6 and 8 activities per day. There'll be daily swim lessons and a free swim. Sports is modified. There cannot be, for instance, in basketball, there cannot be scrimmages or games. We don't want campers face-to-face breathing on one another as they're playing. We want to do activities that give each other a little bit of space. So in basketball, we'll do things like knockout or free throw games or passing or different things rather than scrimmaging. But for soccer, kickball, badminton, volleyball, we can do all of those outside. We will still be doing our yoga, dance, drama, nature, science, martial arts, as well as music, and that will be taking place outside. The only large group activity we will have is Shabbat, and during that, every group will be at their awning, which is outside, which is about 10 feet apart from any other group. So we will always maintain our pods and be socially distanced, even if we are in a large group setting. And the only time is to celebrate Shabbat together. Many parents have been asking again about our pickup and drop off schedule. So we have a staggered schedule. There will be 5 groups that will be allowed to drop off starting at 8:45 in the morning. That alligators and rabbits, alligators are our 3-year-olds, rabbits are our 3 and 4-year-olds, hawks are a 5-year-old group, pandas 5-year-old group, and elephants are our 7-year-old group. Starting at 9 o'clock, the tigers, which is a 4-year-old group, monkeys, which is a 5-year-old group, and lions, which is a 6-year-old group, will be able to drop off. And then at 9:15, we will have the jaguars, which is another 4-year-old group, bears, which is a 6-year-old group, kangaroos, which is a 7-year-old group, and the goats, which is an 8-year-old group. They'll be able to drop off at that time. Parents ask, what happens if I have kids who have different times of drop-offs and pickups? You can bring both of your children or all of your children to the earliest time and pick them up at the latest time. So for instance, if you have an alligator and a jaguar, you would bring your campers in at 8:45 in the morning and pick them up at 4:15 in the afternoon. For our partial day campers, alligators and rabbits are pick up at 1:15, tigers and jaguars at 1:30. Because of swim, these groups might even be a little bit more delayed than that exact time, but your counselors will tell you when they reach out to you in the week leading to camp, when they think the actual, if a group really is about 1:40 instead of 1:30, because it will take more than 15 minutes to get the campers out of their wetsuits, and we don't want you to wait. So we'll try our best to communicate with you if we think times might be changing by like 5, 10, 15 minutes, because there's so many things we don't know this summer with the staggered schedule. We're going to just ask for your patience to help be flexible when things are not exactly on perfect timing, but we will communicate the best we can so that you know what's going on. Every morning, there will be health screening. I will email the health screening questions out to the families every Sunday. Please respond to me if you have any of the symptoms, if there's any issues that you have, so that we can be proactive and not turn a family away when they're in line. In addition to the weekly email, every day in line, a staff member will ask you the 4 questions that the New York State wants us to ask about symptoms, if you've been around somebody who's quarantined, if you've been around somebody who has a positive COVID-19 test, or if you've traveled out of state, and if you're following the New York guidelines for that. We will ask you and your camper that every single day. The Westchester Department of Health requires that we document it for each camper every single day, along with taking the temperature. So that's why we're doing a staggered schedule in the morning, so that we can get everybody through our health screening without having to wait too long. We ask that parents park their cars and walk their child through this process. We're not going to have people who pull up, open the door, watch, wait for a thumbs up and leave. That's not how this works. Because if your child doesn't pass it, we don't want a scene or to embarrass your child. Therefore, we ask all parents or caregivers or nannies, anybody who is on your authorized grown-ups form, can walk your child through the process. And it's just a way of giving your child support and giving the camper the respect that they don't have to be embarrassed or anxious if there's a temperature by accident, or if they have a runny nose or a sore throat, or things that are considered COVID-19 related that does require a COVID-19 PCR test. We require, if we send a camper home, that you go to your doctor and get a PCR test. We need a doctor's note that's emailed or faxed to the camp, and then the nurse will review it and then reach out to you. Your camper is only able to come back once once one of the camp nurses has approved you to come back. So it's not just that you have a negative PCR test, but you need to be invited back by our medical professionals. And then at pickup, you can just drive up and we will put the camper in your car. But if you want to adjust child seats, if you want to check in with your camper, give them a snack, talk to them, we ask that you park so that you come and walk over and pick them up, because the line to get people in and out, we try to be very fast. As this summer, there's about 190 campers at camp. So we want to make sure people aren't waiting in lines for an incredible amount of time. We really want that pickup line to be fast. So if you don't want to be rushed, we just ask that you park and walk over and pick up your child. They'll be sitting by their groups with their counselors. And at the end of the day, we do popsicles. So it's a very relaxed, positive way to end the day. The morning health screening, staff goes through the screening at 8:30. So we ask that you not come before 8:45. For those who are doing extended care, starting at 8 a.m., you can bring your child for their health screening. So even if let's say you're part of the extended care community, your child can still go through at 8:25, 8:30 when the staff is going through, because that is part of extended care. So extended care starts at 8 o'clock, and anytime after 8 o'clock, you're welcome to bring your child camper in to go through the health screening. And once they go through the health check, we require everybody to wash their hands, and there must be one adult with every camper. If you have other kids that you need to go through the screening because you're one parent and you need to watch all your kids, even though not all of those kids are coming to camp, be it because they're in other programs or other ages, you can be together as a family, but we ask that you just huddle together and be respectful of the 6 feet distance between you and other people. The extended care, this year our options are from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. In the extended care, we need to remain potted as if just the same way as we were for the normal day. Therefore, we've really thought deeply about what's the best way to engage our campers, because there might be only one camper in a pod that's doing extended care. So what we have decided is that our pre-K and kindergarten groups will be in one social hall at the temple, socially distanced, but each pod will have their own table, and then tables will be 10 feet apart. So if they're inside, they'll be socially distanced and wearing masks. And if they're outside, they'll still be socially distanced, and but they won't have to wear masks. But we're going to keep some of the ages a little bit together so that it's not lonely for any of the campers. And then for our elementary age, 1st through 3rd graders, they'll be in the other social hall within the building. But we will make sure campers do not mix. This program time is not activities. It's not more traditional camp. It's more just hang out, maybe listen to music, have some snacks, play games, color, maybe Legos, things of that nature. It's kind of just a chill time where it's supervised time for our campers. And because it's long hours, campers need some of that downtime to recuperate from the hot, long day. As was shown a couple months ago, here's an example of a schedule from last summer. We have snack and transition time within the day so that people can wash hands, sanitize. There is changing for swim. Every day there is a swim lesson and a free swim. About 4 or 5 times a week is art and sports. And then all the other activities are usually 2 to 3 times a week, except for martial arts for the elementary ages is once a week on Wednesday. Otherwise, it's 2 to 3 times a week for an activity with extra activities for art and sports each week. As we've grown, camp has grown in its leadership as well. I know many people know my face. I want you to get to know Jana and Joe. Joe's on this call. Jana and Joe are the supervisors. They're our unit heads who will oversee all the counselors. If you have an issue with your counselor or thing happening at camp, it is best to first reach out to Jonina and Jana through the camp phone number, and that's in the parent handbook. But it's best to call the camp office, and that's 914-813-8700. And Jana and Joe will get back to you. And then from there, they'll meet with the counselors or they'll talk with me. But Jana and Joe are your first round of contact. And also there's Diane Bookman, who she's our camper care manager. And we know that this year we have campers who have some anxiety that, surviving through the COVID pandemic has impacted campers in different ways. So besides children who have IEPs or traditional concerns that parents might have, we know that some campers just might be a bit anxious at first or have other challenges that they're facing. And Diane is the person to coordinate with. So if your child has a SEAT or needs OT, PT, or any other kind of therapies during the camp day, Diane is the person to be in connection with, who will set up time to sit down and talk with you, where you can go over in great detail what your child needs to have a great camp experience. And then she will work with the family, the camper, and the counselors to have behavioral plans and support so that everybody has a successful summer. So Jana, Joe, and Diane are the first contacts you should have for the different needs. And if you need to be in contact with them and you don't know how, you can always reach out to me or the office, and I will happily make sure that you connect with them and that they can answer your questions. We ask that even if you find out your counselor's cell phone numbers, please do not call or text counselors. Please go to Joe and Jana, and please respect the boundaries for our staff. Lunch, it is kosher, catered, individually wrapped. Groups will be socially distanced, 3 different lunch periods so that there's a lower traffic in that area. It will take place outside at our back fields, and each group will have their own tent with 3 tables together, a 10-foot by 20-foot awning tent to be protected from the sun. And that's where they'll have snacks and have lunch and have outside group time together when they just need a place to chill. That each bunk will have their own set of tables that they do not share with any other group. If your child has food allergies, especially if they have severe food allergies, like need an EpiPen or have any other serious concerns, please email me that to remind me and our nurses exactly what your concerns are. We do go through the medical forms, but it's always better to be overly cautious. Personally, I have a child with a peanut allergy, and it's just always better to reach out and dot our I's and cross our T's, because we always want to make sure every camper is extra safe. That's true. We've had campers who have parents who were allergic to red meat. So if there's any other severe allergy in your family that we need to be careful of, that we don't want a camper going home with, please keep us updated, because we want to keep everybody safe. At lunch, we know that kids can be a little picky at times. So we do have alternatives, which is sunflower butter and jelly sandwiches. If for any reason we have somebody with a sunflower allergy, we will use soy butter. And then there's also plain pasta with olive oil that campers will get. And every day there's cut up fresh fruit and fresh vegetables. So it's a well-balanced meal, and it is a catered hot meal. So campers will get very healthy and fresh options every day. Rainy day protocol. If it is rainy day, we will go inside. If there's lightning, we will go inside. If it becomes too hot, we will go inside. Camper safety, physical safety is more important than COVID-19 safety. Overheating is a concern. We don't want heat exhaustion. You know, it's a lot on campers. Our campers aren't used to going full force. With COVID-19, they've been more sedentary than normal. And so we're just going to really make sure that there's adequate water intake, where they're drinking regularly. We're going to monitor how often they're going to the bathroom, because that is a clear sign if they're not drinking enough liquid. If you think your camper is picky and doesn't drink regular water, you are more than welcome to put one of those flavor things in so that they can flavor the water. Please mute your, I'm going to ask people who just joined us to please mute to make sure that they drink water. We will have outside, we've bought many of those big igloo water jugs. We fill it with ice, they remain cold, but drinking water is vitally important. On rainy days, we will go inside. Activities such as art, drama, and dance can go on as normal. Swim will be adapted activities, and sports will be adapted as well. We also have activity packs so that campers aren't bored. And if it's a full day washout, we will bring out Disney movies for campers to watch. We will only watch G-rated movies because we know different families feel differently about what their children watch. And so we will just try to come together with the common denominator of G movies. But that's only if it's full day rain, not if it's a partial day rain. Families who are not comfortable with campers being inside, even with masks, are more than welcome to pick up their campers. We will send out an email to families through the CampMinder system that says it is now an indoor day, and then families can make their own decisions on what they are comfortable with. Forms. Annalise, who is one of our lead counselors who's been with camp for 3 summers, is currently emailing families to let you know what's outstanding. I know that there's some redundancy and it's not always the easiest to fill out each form and to get everything uploaded that we need, but it's vitally important. Everything in there has a reason. Sometimes it's redundant because CampMinder has the forms pre-made and we can adapt them. So that's why there's a little bit of overlap between some forms. But there's also one form that I think trips up a lot of people. It's the authorized grown-up form. It's at the bottom of the form page. It's under the family or household section. It's not under the camper's name. So if you only have one camper, it will be your camper's name and lists all the forms. And then if you scroll down, there'll be a household or family section, and there'll be this authorized grown-up form. And then there's also been an updated COVID-19 waiver that families need to sign, that you might have done all your forms and then I uploaded the new COVID-19 waiver afterwards. And so that would be why we reached out about the COVID-19. You didn't forget it, we just had to update it. Parents ask all the time, what does my camper need? Every week, 3 swimsuits. We ask for 3 to 5 COVID-19 safety masks, water bottles, and these should be kept weekly at camp. Daily clean masks and any dirty clothes that was sent home. And you're gonna leave for the summer, water shoes, swim goggles, rain gear, hat, change of clothes, sunscreen, and bug repellent. We will let you know when your child is running out of sunscreen or bug repellent because we apply it regularly during the day. If your child runs out of sunscreen, we will reach out to you immediately to ask that if we can use another child's until you replace yours, because it's very important that our campers have proper sunscreen on. But we are aware that there are allergies and sensitivities, so we cannot just assume and have general sunscreen for all campers. So it's really important that if we reach out to you because your child is empty, that the next day that you really bring back a new one. And I know it's hard because there's a lot going on. So if maybe families can have a couple backup sunscreens just on hand, greatly appreciated. For those who just joined us, if you can please turn off or mute your computer. Families have also been asking about
awkward as
families can please
lucky as it is.
Joe, will you please make sure to mute that family? Thank you. On Sunday, June 27th, every group has a time where they can come and meet their counselors, as well as the unit head will be there, and Diane will be there for those who would like to talk to her just to make sure everything is set up correctly, as well as our camp nurses will be there. So the day before camp starts, you will have a half an hour window as a group to come and meet your staff. This is not the time to start talking about your child's specific needs. We should have talked about that in the week and a half leading up to camp. This is more so your camper doesn't have anxiety and can meet the counselor, and you can show your camper around so that when we transition into camp, they're excited for Monday and some of that nervousness or fear is reduced because we really want campers to feel comfortable. But we have the entire leadership team there just to make sure everything's organized in case you have last minute questions and things of that nature. I'm now going to stop my screen share. We're gonna share this video on our camp website, but now, Joe, I'm gonna have you read the questions that are in the chat. Joe Nina.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Okay. So the first question, someone said that they didn't get the class list. I know one group was already getting together and had a.
So I did send it out to every group. Because I'm sending so many emails lately, everything I send out goes to spam folders. If you did not receive it or you cannot find it, just email me and I will forward it to you again. But everything I'm sending out lately is going into people's spam. So just check your spam box regularly.
Great. And then will staff members be vaccinated or are they required to be vaccinated?
So staff members are not required to be vaccinated. We've had many conversations about this with employment lawyers as well as medical professionals. The good news is the clear majority of our staff is vaccinated, but not everybody is vaccinated. We recommend it. We talk about the benefits of it, but we cannot require it at this time.
Is lunch served for the half-day children?
Yes, every camp, lunch is included for every camper.
If a camper's not sick, but someone in their family showing symptoms and not feeling well, what is the policy?
If anybody in the family has symptoms, that camper needs to be quarantined until the family member gets a COVID-19 PCR test and it is a negative result. So you're just quarantining that child until the family member has a negative result. If your camper has the symptom, your camper needs to be the one to get the test. So if somebody's in your house has a symptom, the camper doesn't need to get COVID-19 tested. Can be if you want that extra safety, but it's only once there's a negative result of the family member, then the camper can come back. Here's the big thing, if a family member does have COVID-19, a camper, and this is what the Department of Health went over, the camper has to quarantine for 10 days and stay away from that person. So if it's a parent where a child cannot stay away from that parent, the child has to be out of camp for the 10 days of the parent's quarantine and then another 10 days of their own quarantine. So it's 10 days after being exposed. So if somebody's sick in the house, you can't start the child's quarantining just at the 10 days of when the family finds out. It's 10 days after the original quarantine.
Okay. Someone's asking about security measures and protocols for indoor and outdoor spaces throughout the day.
Security, So what, read the question fully word for word for me, because that's,
Can you please explain security measures and protocols for indoor and outdoor spaces throughout the day? Thank you.
so I'm assuming that, because we have a security guard on duty, so I'm guessing that that is not about that kind of security, it's COVID related security. So the protocols for indoors is that each group has its own classroom where no other group is allowed in, as well, and the windows are open, as well as in the hallway, they will always remain 6 feet or more apart from any other group. Everything's in a one-way directional signal in all of our hallways. So you can't go both ways. You have to make a loop upstairs and downstairs to do a full circle.
Rabbi, sorry to interrupt
only
you.
one
Sorry.
group in the bathroom at a time. And we have signs to show that. So we work really hard to make sure that inside the groups are always 6 feet away from each other. Joe?
Someone said they missed the first 10, 20 minutes, but I had told them that it's being recorded, so hopefully they can.
Right, so we are recording this video, and hopefully tomorrow or by the end of the week, it will be up on our website.
Someone asked, can you clarify if there's a snack time in the morning?
We-
If so, are we required to provide snack? Is there any way to opt out? Because the pediatrician said that children do not need a snack between breakfast and lunch.
So so our breakfast snack is fruit or like yogurt. So we try, fruit can be raisins, but it's usually apples, those kind of things. I try to not just do simple carbs all day long for them. You know, kids love the simple carbs, but it's not always the healthiest. So we find because children are actually burning so many calories, they get what we call hangry. Because they're so hungry, they get angry if their blood sugar is off. We have worked with families who were worried about calorie counts with their children. If you have concerns about exactly what your kids eat, you can pack snacks as long as it's nut-free facilities. It has to say nut-free facilities, and it has to be kosher. So no pork, shellfish, dairy and meat together, those kind of things. But we try to do in the morning fruit or yogurt snack, and then lunch, and then in the afternoon we do simple carb like graham cracker, pretzels, those kind of things. Because you have to remember, campers are running around outside all day. They have 2 swimming periods and usually a sport period. They're hungry. They're active kids during the summer. And then we end the day with a low calorie popsicle. That's just a cool, positive way to end the day. Keep going, Joe.
Are flip-flops okay for water shoes?
Yes. Crocs, flip-flops, slides, they're all fine. Just know though that kids use the stairs. So if you're like, with my kids, I don't love having them in flip-flops because I know they trip over them sometimes. So I got slides for my own kids because I felt that was a little safer.
Okay.
Jesse, a couple of people were just posting asking follow-ups about the security question about
Yeah,
security.
I saw that, but I'm going to have Joe go through the list. Joe, any others before we go to the?
Can you please recommend brands for water shoes, swim goggles, bug repellent?
Yeah, please skip that. That was just for maybe a later email, and I might ask you individually.
Right. So, I mean, I can just say what I do with my kids is, for my kids, it's about comfort. I like go to Marshall's and I get 2 or 3 different kinds of things, and then I try them out with my kids to see what they find to be the most comfortable. Because each year my kids are different, and something that worked one year, all of a sudden the next year doesn't work, and kids are finicky about things. So it's really about comfort for your camper.
Are your grounds treated for mosquitoes?
So our grounds are treated for ticks, but they are not for mosquitoes. There are certain areas that are treated for poison ivy, but there is still some in the campus. So we try to stay on top of everything, but if your child is sensitive to mosquitoes, it's important that you pack bug spray and we will reapply it. And with the ticks, we do spray for ticks, but you should check your child every single day. I've already found ticks on my kids this year, and they don't even go to that property. Just from life, ticks are an issue, and you should just check every day.
What is the protocol for actual drop-off? Kids masked or unmasked on the drop-off line? Parents masked or unmasked?
Parents need to be masked because you're considered a visitor. Children do not need to be masked. Campers do not need to be masked, but we would ask that all parents are masked because we're all in a tighter space together.
What's the best method to have a chat with the counselors ahead of time about our child instead of doing so at the meet and greet?
Great question. This weekend starts the training of the camp staff. Before June 21st, at least one counselor should reach out to you. And by the week of the 21st, also the unit heads, Joe and Jana, by the 24th, Thursday the 24th, will have followed up to make sure that that you've been contacted. So if by any chance by, let's say, the 22nd or the 23rd, send me an email if you have not been contacted. The biggest challenge will be that a counselor calling you, but for whatever reason you weren't available and they left a voice message. They're not going to give their personal cell phones, but they'll try to call again. So there might be messages. So we can always use email to set up a time for conversations as well.
Plus, you can always reach out to me or Jana, and we can let the counselor know the information as well. Okay, I have 2 children at different camps with the same drop-off and pickup times. Is early or late better?
The earlier you drop off your kid, your camper will just be sitting there. But if you drop them off late, they will miss out programming. Therefore, I think it's better to do early, but they will be sitting there for 15 to 30 minutes until the rest of the group comes.
Do we have to send snack every day?
No, we provide, this year we will provide all food for campers.
Last summer was great. The kids did not wear masks outside or inside. This summer, COVID numbers are lower. Why masks inside?
We know a lot more about COVID safety this summer than we did last summer. We did our best guess. We try to give our kids the best opportunity possible, but we are using the science and we have medical professionals who are guiding us on what is the safest protocols. And in all of the literature, it says best practices are for indoor space, regardless of ages 2 and older, that the best practices is to be masked. And since children cannot be vaccinated, we are just going to side on be a little bit more cautious. We believe that most of the kids are used to wearing masks indoor. I think outdoor it's a lot harder. It's hot, they're running around. That does impact them. So that's why we're really happy that outside we can be maskless, but we're just going to be a little bit more cautious than not cautious and go with the science.
Can we be made aware if our counselor is unvaccinated?
No, we are not allowed to share that information. That is confidential information. It's people's medical history, and it's not an okay thing to ask for our staff. We have set our policy, and we respect if you're not comfortable with our policy, but this is the policy of the camp for the summer. And we are going to try our hardest to keep everybody safe. We can't guarantee everything, but we are doing best practices to give our kids an emotionally safe and a physically safe as possible summer.
This family is concerned about heat. Is there a temperature that is considered too hot and activities are being brought inside?
I would say it's not just the heat, it's also with humidity. So if our heat index is over 97. If we start getting a heat index 96, 97, 98, then we will probably not the whole day, but we'll try to go inside for a little bit to have them cool down, or we'll add extra swims. And if it's over 100, then we'll definitely modify things.
We're interested in regular security as well, especially given the recent uptick in scary.
So almost all of the synagogues in Westchester use the same security company. We have a security officer on duty during all of camp hours. And in camp training, we go through lockdown procedures. So we do things like fire drills or lightning strikes, things like that. But we also do, if we have to lock down, if unfortunately there was ever an active shooter, things of those natures, we do go over that training as well with our entire staff. And then there's a security officer on duty that is trained in this field, that we've been working with the company for years, and many of the Jewish institutions work with the same company. And Anita Aronoff, who's on this call, our executive director, is in constant contact with state and local officials, police officers and troopers and different things. And we have regular police visits just to keep extra eye on us. And there's always, safety is our biggest concern. And we make sure that we know what's going on, and that we are talking, if we need the FBI or whoever, that we just always know what the best safety is, and that we work with our local officials.
Is camp open on July 5th?
Yes, we are a full 40-day season this year. Because the 4th of July is on the weekend, we have normal schedule. Is that all the questions?
No.
Okay.
The more you talk, the more questions there are. They keep coming. Can unvaccinated staff members be required to wear a mask outside as well as inside?
The policy we have decided for camp is that outside, all staff members and campers will not be wearing masks, and inside they will be. I know not everybody agrees with that, and I respect it. People are not going to agree with that having people wear masks inside. There's no way for our policy to make everybody perfectly happy, but we are looking at the science, and we are working with medical professionals to make the best policy possible for all of our campers and all of our families.
I'm skipping the little things that aren't questions, just people very excited
Right.
for camp and returning, but okay. Yep. Hold on, wait. There's some of these are repeat questions. I think someone had a baby today, so mazel tov to whoever had a baby today. Jordy, mazel tov, Jordy. Could you provide examples of what rain gear would include?
Rain gear would include, usually I think rain jackets are best, because the time that we see it the most is at drop off and pickup, especially at pickup when it starts to rain. So if you're the umbrella, they hold the umbrella and they still get soaked. So a little rain jacket seems to be the best thing to have for a rainy day, and galoshes but like my kids won't wear galoshes, so like it's not helpful, or they just get filled with water. So you know your child, but I think a rain jacket's pretty decent. Or like some kids don't really care and they find the rain to be a lot of fun, but I think rain jacket's usually the best option.
Jesse, I think galoshes is a Midwest thing. We call them rain boots here.
Yes, I'm from Minnesota originally, so yes.
Last year, a list of needed items, supplies, and themed dress days was provided. Will that be offered again this year?
Yes, we are making, we're just putting everything together so it looks nice. So in about a week or so, we'll be able to send it out to everybody. The menus, the schedule of all special activities, wacky Wednesdays, dress up days, all that kind of stuff. We'll have that out for you. We have the dates. We're just getting it together so that it looks nice for you.
Are all the rooms air conditioned?
The rooms are not air conditioned. They will be opened with, they're all windows on the whole outside, like the whole wall in the classrooms are windows on the lower level, and on the upper level, if there's not good circular flow like that, then we put air conditioner units in those rooms. So only a couple of the rooms are air conditioned, and those are upstairs, which gets hotter. The lower level classrooms where the windows are open, it's very comfortable with the wind below. In the 4 summers, we've never had any issues in those classrooms.
And I just want to say that Anita said she's happy to talk to anyone with security concerns. So they can reach out to Anita, I guess.
And please email me. Like, I want you to feel comfortable. I know that some people aren't perfectly happy with the answers that I've given, and I want to talk to you. It doesn't mean that things are going to change, but I'm happy to better understand your concerns and give you the opportunity to better understand why we made the decisions we did. We're really excited. There's a great group of staff. We have such wonderful leaders and partners this year, and we have many returning staff members, the most returning staff members of any summer. And my goal is to give your child the best summer possible. I will say, please remember, it's still a COVID summer. It's still different. We have to pace our kids because it's going to be outside a lot. They're not used to being outside that much. There's just different things we have to do that has to be really cognizant of their physical safety and their emotional safety, in addition to COVID-19 safety. Our goal is to give our kids the best summer possible, where safety is number 1, fun is number 2, and number 3 is that they grow and develop as young people. I've seen with my kids and their peers that the last year and a half, they haven't been able to socialize as much as kids normally do. And it's really important that at camp, they gain some of these skills that they're a little deficient on because they've been so separated from other kids for so long. Please be our partners in this process. Please respect the boundaries we've made. We're trying to keep everybody safe. We're trying to give everybody a great summer. I really appreciate that you're all on this call. I know it's late, and thank you for caring so much, because I know you're my teammates in giving our kids a great summer. And we are going to do this together because we love these children and we want them to have the best summer of their lives. So thank you so much. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Everybody. Bye.